Okay, go ahead.
Today we're meeting again to talk about or to just discuss the issues on Black History Month. And with me, I have Miss Abby, who is going to talk about our group, Afri-Canada Hub, and then we'll introduce the next presenter and also briefly tell us about why we are meeting today. Ms. Abby, your turn.
Oh, thank you. I want to welcome everyone to the platform. We are grateful to be here. We thank God for another day, another opportunity to meet. And the topic of Black History Month cannot be concluded without us meeting and listening and discussing, going to a discussion on our presence here in Canada. We have Nina here who has done some research. She's a Canadian born, so I'm really happy to be listening to the Canadian borns, what they think from their perspective about Black History Month. Some of the learnings that she has done in school and what she continues to learn. And it's really good to have a young one who is interested in this topic. The topic of Black History Month it's such a heavy topic to discuss or to even think about, knowing that some people went through struggles for us to be here today and have our freedom. And so I'm glad that Nina has done some research, and she'll be talking about a few of the Black historic Canadians who paved the way for us to have our freedom today. So Black History Month, well, let me first of all describe Afri-Canada Hub. It's a nonprofit organization. We are new. The goal is to empower the Black child. The goal is to make a difference, have our Black kids who are struggling in school find their way to catch up with lessons, bridge gaps in the community. And so that's what Afri-Canada Hub stands for. We are a group of teachers who have seen that there is a need in the community. And we are here to provide any means possible, whatever our strength can do as we are here, still here on earth, to leave some legacies for our kids. And that's why we formed the group. And so from time to time, we do organize the webinars and discussions as this one. And then today, we are in the month of February. We think the Black History Month should be spoken about or discussed every day. The Black history is everyone's history. The Honorable Jean Augustine, who put into motion to have Black History Month as a celebration here in Canada, will say that Black history is everyone's history. All right, so the Black History Month was created to focus attention on contributions of African Americans to the United States. It honors all Black people from all periods of US history, from the enslaved people first brought over from Africa in the early 1700 or 17th century to African Americans living in the United States today. So it continues to be a celebration. But guess what? Once upon a time, I love this lady. Once upon a time, there was a seamstress who lived in Montgomery City. On December 1st, 1955, she was sitting on a crowded bus going home from working a long shift at a department store. So on the bus, she was asked to stand and give her seat to a white man who had boarded the crowded bus. So the bus driver go to her and say, give your seat to this man. And so Rosa Parks refused to give her seat. She was tired. She said her leg was hurting from working long hours. And so she refused to give her seat. And that action or act was called defiant, that she was being defiant. And I will call that action, not defiance. You are not being defiant from today's standpoint. We will not call it defiant, but her action sparked a lot of change. So Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to give her seat. And that action sparked the movement of civil rights movement today that we know today. So the civil rights movement through Martin Luther King Jr. Changes the dream that he had. We have seen some of it, even though we are not 100% where we need to be. There's still work to be done. And some of that work that need to be done is a forum as this one for us to bring out the issues in our communities, the issues that still exist. Even though we've come a long way, I don't know how some of us would have responded to that type of treatment, that you have to give your seat to someone. And so their action today has given us freedom, and we are here today to discuss some of these freedom that we have, and some of the trailblazers who set the way, who opened the path to Canada and came to Canada and opened the door for some of us to be here sitting in classrooms and have the opportunity to learn at different levels, just like anyone. And so we are glad to be here, and this is why we are here today. I will call on Nina. We want to hear what the research that Nina has done. So whether we are here as first generation Black Canadians, immigrants, what are we? We are all at different levels of belonging, but we are here. And here means we are here on the land of Canada. Very grateful to be here. But in the midst of all of this, our children need to know the history. The history should not be forgotten. And so I would like to hear what Nina has found on some of the historic Canadians that she has researched. People such as Chloe Cooley, Taunton, and Lucy Blackburn. And I know she was researching on Dr. Anderson, Ruffin Abbott, William Patton, Hubbard, and Patricia White. Some of the names are new to me. I'm also still learning. We are all still learning. And yeah, so if you have any information, any addition to the topics, please feel free to add. Please feel free to ask questions, make suggestions to our discussions today. Okay, so welcome, Nina, to the program, and I'm glad you are here and you made it. You're looking great, by the way.
Thank you. Well, hi, everyone. My name is Nina. I am one of the secretaries of African Hub, and I'm just really glad to be a part of this conversation on Black Canadian history. Being that I am a first generation Ghanaian Canadian, shout out to my parents, hey. In school, when I was in school, in elementary and high school, learning history, we were not really taught anything about Black history in particular, or if we were taught anything, it was focusing on African American history, which is very important, but I also never really realized that there were other Black Canadians until this day who have been here for generations and generations, who are considered like the people that helped to build this country. So going through my research and learning about some of these Canadians for the first time myself was such a great eye-opening experience. And I'm really happy to pick 5 of some of the interesting topics I thought were pretty amazing. So to start off, slavery was something that everyone knows worldwide, and Canada is not exempt from it. And people would like to think that Canadians were the ones who welcomed the slaves, which was actually true, but we did have a history of slavery ourselves. And the first point I'm going to talk about a woman named Chloe Cooley, and her story is going to spark the beginning points of stopping slavery in Canada. So Chloe Cooley was a Black woman who was enslaved in the US and sold into slavery in Canada. Not much is really known about her, but what we do know is that she was sold to a man named Benjamin Hardison. And this man, he was a farmer, and one day he decided he didn't want her anymore. He decided that he's going to sell her. So he decided to sell her to someone, a part of the Loyalist movement named Adam Vernon. And one day he decided to come to the Niagara region to pick up Chloe Cooley. During this act, he used two other men to tie her up violently and restrain her, to put her on a boat to send her across the Niagara River to New York. And during this process, it was a very, inhumane way of capturing someone against their will. So this alerted some passengers on the boat. In particular, two passengers were alerted. One of them was a Black free man named Peter Martin, I believe. And another one was a white man named William Grizzly. And when they saw this act happening on the boat, William, in particular, decided to go to the Lieutenant Governor of Canada at the time and to the Canadian Council. And when he went there, he decided to tell his statement what he saw, the violent struggle of this Black woman being sold into slavery. So this helped to usher abolishment of slavery in Canada. So after he went to the council, they debated and they decided that, it was probably time to maybe make some laws in place to make sure things like this do not happen again. So in June 19th, 1973, the Act to Limit Slavery was put into legislation. So Chloe Cooley, we don't know much about her, where she ended up when she died. She was the woman who sparked the abolishment of slavery in Canada before anywhere else in the world, particularly in the States. So Canada was the first to abolish slavery in 1793. So that was my first interesting point that I realized that because of this one woman, Canada is known as a free country for Black people till this day, which is very interesting. And now I know a little bit about how Canada did end their little dark period of being slave owners. And obviously throughout the years, it did take time, but we are now in a free country where all races are welcome, especially Blacks. And that was just an interesting tidbit. Not sure if anyone wanted to just elaborate on that or if I could just move on to the next point.
Okay, thank you very much, Nina. I have a few additions on the Black History Month. Since it started in the USA, it didn't end there. It's like it's celebrated all over the world, including our African countries. We do celebrate Black History Month, although we celebrate it differently. But this is an issue now that is a global issue that affects everyone. And then the other point that I want to make is about this William. There's William who saw what was happening to Chloe and was a white man. So that white man played a part in the ending of slavery. So when we talk about Black History Month, we are not just looking at Black people or just focusing on Black people. We are focusing on Black people and other people who are minority, who may be facing the same problems or challenges as the Black people, and those who also support our struggle. So Black History Month is not just about the Black people, or it's not just about the people of color. It's about everyone who supports justice, everyone who sees a person as a person. So that's my contribution. Thank you very much, Nina. I don't know, Miss Abby, if you have something.
Yeah, I think I also picked up on William Grizzly, that the fact that he was a white man, but he made a change. So he saw something that wasn't right, and he didn't keep quiet on it. He made a comment, and that comment also led to something different for that outcome. And that was where my mind went to, the William Grizzly, a white man. So like John Augustine would say, John Augustine is our honorable member of parliament who put forth the motion to have February used as a Black History Month in Canada. So like I said earlier, John Augustine would say that Black History Month is for everyone. It's not just for Blacks. White people intervened. Some of them intervened to the more inhumane treatment that took place in those days. So Black History Month is for everyone. Example, in one of my classes, so I said to students to relate to some of these historic figures, and some of them they are not Black, but they wrote stories of how their grandparents came to Canada and the struggles that they went through. A student said to me, who is an Indian student, said to me that my grandmother will relate to Rufus Rockhead. So Rufus Rockhead was a man who was the first Black man to be given license to operate a club, a nightclub here in Canada. And then said his grandmother will relate because the grandmother came and struggled to operate a business. And the struggle that the grandmother went through is related to what Rufus Rockhead went through. So anyone can relate. We can all relate. Some of us may not be able to relate, but we can relate through some of the racisms that we have suffered that still goes on sometimes in really subtle ways that it's hard to know, but it's happening. That is happening, but it is happening. But yes, we have come a long way. And I'm glad that you brought up William Grizzly. Thank you. So Nina, I guess you can move on to, I don't know if anyone else has a comment, something to add to Chloe Cooley. If not, Nina, you can move on to your second research. And I'm glad you are doing this as a young Canadian.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's very important to learn about these things. And my next people of interest, it's going to fall in the realms of entrepreneurship. People who are hustling, because we all know as Blacks, we are hustlers, we are innovators. We see something, we like it, we turn it into our own and we create it. So these two people did that. And those people, their names are Lucy and Thornton Blackburn. They were an enslaved couple in the States who escaped slavery not once, but twice, and came to settle in the Greater Toronto area. And during this time, Mr. Thornton, he could only get a job as a waiter in a restaurant in the Greater Toronto area. And while he was working there for a couple of years, he saw all these affluent, fancy, upper class Caucasian folks and saw that they would come enjoy their dinners. And then when they're done, and this is happening in the 1800s, they would come and probably have to walk home because there was no cars, no Ubers, nothing of that sort. And he decided there was a need for public transportation. So him and his wife, Lucy, they decided to start the first owned cab company in Ontario, which was called The City. So back then, like I mentioned, there was no cars, nothing of that sort, no Uber, no Lyft, no nothing. So what they did is that they took a horse-drawn carriage, with some horses, painted it red and yellow, and called it the city. Obviously, that was a really great hit because no one wants to walk 10 miles just because they went out to get some dinner. So they had a lot of customers. They grew so much success. And because of this success, they took all their funds and they didn't just keep it to themselves. They took it, invested back into the community, and they built over 6 different homes. And with those homes, they decided to help other refugee slaves from the states that were escaping on the Underground Railroad, and to rent out those homes to all those families for only $10 a year, which is amazing. I wish my rent was $10 a year. After they helped other people and also cultivated other businesses, back in 1999, Canada decided to designate them of international people of importance. So they did leave a mark. I know John Gillespie was a famous painter, and I believe he made a painting of the actual horse-drawn carriage, which you can see in the ROM today, actually, to actually visualize the first cab company, how people actually were transported with the horse and carriage. And no white man created that first. It was a Black couple who decided to implement that public transport. And now you see cab companies today, and there's hundreds, thousands of them worldwide, different colors, but in Canada, particularly in Toronto, the city will always be known as the first. So that was pretty interesting. Does anyone have any thoughts on that, knowing that cab companies are a very wide known thing today? So.
So this happened in 1850s, Nina?
Yeah, the 1800s, early 1900th century.
Okay, so because Canada,
Thank you.
Yeah, go ahead, Miss Melania.
Thank you very much, Nina, for your research. I wasn't even aware of what happened there, but I'm happy you brought that up. And that led me to think about some things, like even the small thing that you do matters. They renting their house to, other people, other Black people. Maybe they were thinking about them, getting money from there, but they were contributing to our struggle, our cause today. So it's something that we have to think about and say, how can we help? How can we contribute? What can I do to contribute to this cause? We'll come back to that topic of contribution. Thank you.
So they built 6 homes, and that was quite impressive in those days. And so the business, they started the first taxi in the GTA. Was that right, Nina?
Yeah, I believe in all of Canada because per se, that, Toronto at that time, I think it was in the Upper Canada region. So most of the population was centralized in that area. So I think it was the first in all of Canada, the Greater Toronto area, of course.
And that was before Canada even became an independent state.
Actually, yes.
Yeah. In 1867, Canada became, July 1st, 1867 was when Canada became independent. Very good. Thanks for letting us, it's like an enlightenment. Our eyes are being opened. The Black people also, yes, did contribute, definitely contribute to the development of Canada before Canada became an independent country. I think we can move on unless someone wants to ask you a question.
I could answer them at the end as well.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So going on to another point, something that's very important, healthcare industry, especially in this day and age, it's COVID, when you get sick, where do you go to? You go to your doctor. So doctors are something that are very important. And I'm going to talk about a very important doctor who was the first Black documented doctor ever in Canada, Mr. Anderson Ruffin Habit. So Mr. Anderson, he was born in Toronto to a very affluent family. And when I say affluent, they were like the royals of Toronto at the time. So that was already being very impressive, being part of such an affluent Black family. And because he was afforded that type of lifestyle through his family, he was able to get the best type of education. He was an honor student. He went to the Toronto School of Medicine and UFT on honor roll, and he decided that he wanted to become a doctor. So in, I believe it was 1861, he was documented as the first registered Black Canadian doctor. And during that time, he traveled to America during the civil rights time frame, and he was one of 8 Black surgeons helping the war efforts and all the issues that were happening in the States during the civil rights movement. And then he came back to Canada in 1866 to open his own practice. And till this day, he's really regarded as someone who helped save a lot of lives and was able to show young Black men, especially, that they can also become a doctor and help other people as well. It's not only it's not only allowed for the whites, it's also allowed for the Blacks. So that was also something very interesting, because I know even now there probably isn't a large segment of doctors that are Black. So knowing that he was the first and ushering all the doctors now, giving them a path to be able to even study medicine was very interesting to learn about, and things like that. Even thinking about how my family doctor, Dr. Woodham, he's a Black Ghanaian doctor working in Canada. And I thought it was so amazing. If it wasn't for Dr. Ruffin Habit, my doctor might have not even been able to practice in this country. So that was something very interesting. Does anyone ever thought like, I never thought my doctor couldn't have worked if it wasn't for this person? Do you have a Black doctor? Do you know someone who's a Black doctor? That's something you never really think about. So this is something to actually put in your head and see how many Black people in the healthcare system who are held in such a high regard, how many. Yes, that was my healthcare point. So if anyone wanted to just speak on that before I transition.
Thank you, Nina. If there's anyone who has something to say, you can just go ahead.
Okay. So now, did someone want to speak?
Yeah, I was just going to say that it's really interesting to know that, a Black doctor was able to open up, just thinking about it, that yes, it is possible that he did open up doors for other Black doctors to, be able to practice. So which, I've never heard of this man before, but that was really nice to know. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Yeah.
Hey.
It is, I was having a chat with a lady who works with kids in the Jane and Finch area this week. And I haven't seen her in a while. So as I was talking to her, I wanted to know what was going on. And she said she has undergone several surgeries. But now she's doing work with Black women because she's concerned about our health, Black women's health, and the type of medical attention that we do receive when we visit hospitals. I have had some really rough experiences, racism by visiting a hospital in Thunder Bay. And I think I've made a video on it. It's still on the YouTube. And then she was talking to me about her experiences and how she's struggling to have, she has finally gotten a Black doctor, because that to her, she personally, my family doctor is not Black, but I wish I do have a Black doctor. But to her, it was really important for her to have a Black family doctor because of having someone who understands her. And so to know that there was once a Ruffin Hubbard, and our children need to hear that yes, they can become, all right, someone like Ruffin Hubbard has laid the foundation. We all have rights to pursue any profession that we want to. I'm really glad you brought this one up. There are quite a few Black historic figures in Canada that we can look into, but you picked this one in particular, and I really like the fact that you picked this one. Having Black doctors in our communities is very important, and we need to talk about it. Thank you, Nina.
Yes. And actually, a side note to just add on to the doctor and the healthcare, it's important for Black doctors to be in that type of space, because we all know in history, when it comes to our care, we have been looked at as animals. Some people may even say, if you go to a hospital as a woman when you're having childbirth, they think that all Black women can handle pain and will withhold medication from you. Also the Tuskegee experiment in the States, where white doctors decided to test on Black men to see the signs of syphilis, how it can be in your body for long, how can a body deteriorate over that. I don't think any Black doctor would subject their people to that. So that's also something I was just thinking about, how it's important to have those Black people in those spaces to fight for our needs, so we wouldn't be seen as test subjects as well. So that's nice. So now I'm gonna move on to my third.
Before you go on, you actually reminded me of the problems I had when I came to Canada. I went to the nearest doctor was there, and the secretary just told me, we are not taking any new patients. And I didn't understand why. It could be because I was Black, or it could be for sure they were not taking any new patients. And then I said, you are the nearest, so where should I go? Or just to go to any walk-in clinic? And I said, I need a doctor. I need, be coming here all the time, not just, any doctor. So, I had already raised my voice, and she had also raised her voice, and the doctor had us arguing. And then he came and just said, oh, don't you think it's better to just, take her? So that's how I, got to see that doctor. And I went for years with that same doctor, but I didn't like the experience of, I didn't understand why they were not taking me. I'm coming from another country. I don't understand the situation. And now you just tell me you can't take me. Now that, we have more doctors, Black doctors, then we can go there, but we still have, we're still struggling. In some areas, they are not there. Other areas, yes, you can find them, but in some areas, they are not there. Okay, thank you.
Yes, and hopefully we can have more doctors that can understand who we are as Black people, understand the trials and tribulations we go through in health, Because, we're not, even though we are the same in the sense of being built as humans, some races have certain health conditions that are particular to us. So that's why it's important to have doctors who can understand that as well. Awesome. So now I'm going to move into my fourth person and point that we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about another Black inventor and also a politician. He was both an inventor and politician. This person, his name is William Peyton Hubbard, and he's a very interesting man. He was born in Canada to two slaves who were from Virginia, who came via the Underground Railroad, and they were able to establish a life in Canada and raise their son. He grew up and trained as a baker. And when he was training as a baker, he used his knowledge as being a baker to invent his own invention, which was a commercial baking oven, which was called the portable. And I would just like to take a moment to talk about this invention, because I know personally a very amazing Black pastry chef baker. My mama, Cakes by Mavis, amazing woman. She makes the best cakes. And I remember seeing her create her own bakery and have all these industrial size machinery. And one of them was a Hubbard baking oven. So that was very interesting when I learned about him. He patented his own oven and sold it through his company called the Hubbard Oven Company. And after he made a lot of money through that and selling so many other different baking industrial commercial products, he decided to go into politics. And he decided to go into municipal politics, and he ran not once, not twice, but over 15 times in different positions in municipal politics. And he was able to fight for privatization that was happening in the Greater Toronto area with different properties, as well as the water source, because I know there was lots of companies trying to privatize the water that we drink that comes from our taps that we take showers with. And he fought to not privatize it and make it public. So he co-founded one of the biggest hydro companies in Ontario, in Canada to date, Hydro One, as a Black man who decided to say water should be free for all. And I know everyone knows Hydro One, you probably get your bills every month, your high water bills or low, whichever ones, from Mr. William Hubbard, because he co-founded that. And obviously he was such an influential man and recognized within the Greater Toronto area still till this day. He has scholarships in universities and colleges that are awarded to students every year who want to study in power-related, water-related studies at those institutions, which is very amazing. And it's so great to see that he decided to not just limit himself by being an inventor, a baker, creating all those amazing things, but he also went into politics and co-founded the company that we use on a regular basis, because water, Canada is, I think, one of the countries that has the most fresh supply of water. So it's really amazing that he was able to take that and not just privatize it, because who needs to pay for water? Water should be free for all, and making it available for everyone to have in their homes free, safe drinking water. So that was amazing. And I'm not sure if anyone has any experiences either using maybe his inventions, like his commercial kitchen products, or if they even knew that he was a co-founder and it was a Black man who co-founded Hydro One and who wanted to make sure water was free for all.
Wow, this is very interesting. Sorry, somebody was going to talk, or I should go ahead?
No, go ahead.
Go ahead.
I'm so glad I heard about this Hubbard. You know, he's been one of the best, well, his equipment has been one of the best in the industry until today. People collect them as collectibles just because they were so good. And I don't think they are manufacturing them anymore, but it's nice to know that it was created by a Black man. That's good. Good research, Nina.
Yes, thank you.
Wow, I'm just sitting here thinking, wow, just the fact that he co-founded the Hydro One. Who knew the Hydro One was co-founded by a Black man? It just blows my mind just to think that yes, it was co-founded by a Black man. And his story reminds me of McCoy, Elijah McCoy's story, who went to school, got a degree in engineering and couldn't find a job. And then ended up at a railroad station and lubricating, just pouring water into trains because the trains were overheating. And so he will pour water into them and to cool them down, and then the trains will take off and then go on. And then finally, he invented a lubricating system. I keep saying, talking about him all the time, but it just reminds me of Elijah McCoy, another Black man, invented the real McCoy. And that's why the saying is there that we want the real McCoy. A lot of people will go for anything. They would just say, I want the real McCoy, because McCoy invented that lubricating system. And the lubricating system became a strong system for trains and for ships. So they will buy them, and then people will buy them and then use them to lubricate trains, that they don't have to stop all the time to get cooled down anymore because of his invention. Really, really good. Some strong trailblazers that we have had here in Canada. I don't know if anyone else has anything else to add. Really good. I like the fact that you are young, Nina, and yet you're so interested in knowing about Black history, especially here in Canada. When we talk about Black history, some of us don't even think that Black people were here in Canada. We always think that they were in the US, in America, and then we just came along and found ourselves here. But Black people were here before. There was a first Black cowboy who had and it was an entrepreneur, had thousands of herds, and raised his family here in Canada and was doing really well, had his own land. So yes, there has been a lot of them, but I like the ones that you have picked and researched on. Thank you, Nina.
Yes, it's my pleasure. And I was really glad that, I'm able to enrich myself. And hopefully maybe the school systems are doing better by introducing Canadian Black history and not just focusing on only the American side. And hopefully they don't even just limit it to just like a day in class or a week in class. Hopefully they can actually take the time and dedicate it in their textbooks and have it, be prolonged and not just like have it for just Black history, because these people, they're not just someone to just talk about for a month and forget about. Their contributions are going to be there forever.
Yes.
So it's amazing. So I talked about slavery, the abolishment. We talked about great entrepreneurs with the first cab, the Blackburns. We talked about healthcare, first doctor, Anderson Ruffin Abbott, and also politician and an inventor in his own right, William Hubbard. So now for my last point, I'm going to focus on something that everyone can say that they can enjoy is music, entertainment, very much so. And I'm going to talk about a female contralto, I believe that's how you pronounce it, contralto phase singer. Her name is Patricia White. So Patricia White, she was also born in Canada in 1911 in Truro, Nova Scotia, to parents who did come from Virginia once again as slaves for freedom in Nova Scotia. She was a young Black girl who loved singing, who cultivated her singing in church, as many of us go and do. And she loved singing so much, she would walk over 10 miles a week just to go to her singing classes. So over the years, she became such a world-renowned classical singer that even won this one particular award called the Helen Kennedy Silver Award at the Halifax Music Festival, not only once or twice, but 3 separate times in the 1930s, as well as going on to become a voice coach for multiple different Canadian and American vocalists till this day that have got awarded Tony Awards, Grammy Awards, Juno Awards, which are very prestigious awards in the music field. Until this day, she is one of the first Black Canadian singers that got international acclaim, as well as one of the best vocalists in the 20th century for her peers. And she was also able in 1964, I believe, to sing for the great Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip, who were, the allies of Canada and stuff like that. She was able to spread the wealth and teach other famed musicians and artists and cultivate their voice. And classical music is actually a very detailed, very beautiful genre of music. It takes very much lots of vocal energy to actually sing in opera and all those things. So she was actually very talented. If you have ever tried to listen to some of her songs, had such a very beautiful, distinct melody in her voice. And it was just very amazing that, we have someone like her, not necessarily just to be in the genre which you might think a Black female artist would be in like R&B or disco or all of that. She was in a classical field. So very cultured type of genre. And it was really great that she was able to make her mark. Also in 1999, Canada issue her own stamp. So if we have any stamp collectors out there, she has her own stamp, which was very interesting to find, because I feel like if you get your own stamp, you have made it. You have made it, because stamps back in the day, even now, are very prestigious awards. Kings and queens are on stamps. So if she had her own stamp, it means she was a very big deal. So anyone have any thoughts on that?
Viola this month has her picture on our $10 bill. So she has made it past the stamp and on the on our money. Wow. So the fact that she traveled 10 miles, Portia traveled 10 miles just to go and learn. She was so determined. The word, as you were talking about her determination, is all that kept coming to my mind. She was determined to do it, and she knew what she wanted to be. That was very good.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nina, for bringing a Black woman in the picture in music. When we're looking at Black History Month, or we're looking at the struggles of Black people, I thought about our own plight. Most of us, we've come from Africa. It's not just Blacks in Canada or the US, but we also had our own struggles. And that reminded me of Miriam Makeba, the South African singer. She used to sing in church, and she was an advocate against apartheid and white minority government. So our plight is not just centered on the slaves or descendants of the slaves, but even us Black people who were also colonized and our land was taken from us, we have our challenges and struggles that we about through colonization. So when we're talking about Black History Month, we should also include them. We include those, we include that. This is our plight. We are still struggling even up to today. Thank you for bringing up Patricia White.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I mean, there's so many other great singers that we know who are of Black African descent, because, you know, back in the slave days when we had our slave masters, we were instructed to also be entertainers for the slave masters. And we had slaves that decided to like make their own instruments, or if they did bring some of their instruments back from where they were taken from, and then the women or men were also instructed to be singers. So I just found it very amazing that, you know, she was a daughter of slaves and she was able to cultivate her singing in church and just grew that wider than she could ever probably imagine as a young Black girl in Nova Scotia, which is very amazing. And hopefully we can have more Black singers in that genre of classical music, because I don't think right now it's as popular. We don't have that many Black people in the classical field. So who knows, maybe a young girl would hear about Patricia White and actually become an opera singer. So yeah. Have 2 bonus points if we do have time for that. I could quickly just talk about the 2 bonus points. They weren't Canadian per se, but their contributions have been used in Canadian society. The first man I would like to talk about is Garrett Morgan briefly. He was a man who created what we know as the traffic light. And everyone knows a traffic light. If you drive, if you walk, you know a traffic light, because it helps us to cross the street. It helps you to drive, indicate. He decided to create that after seeing a really horrible accident when he was younger. And he decided to create that in place, which is now used all over the world, but mostly in Canada, the US, and the UK, the 3 colored traffic lights. And also my last point, who was someone who was very important. She was also a female Black doctor named Patricia White. She was an amazing woman. She became a philanthropist and a ophthalmologist who created this laser called the laser phaco probe, which was able to be used to restore many people's eyesight in the when they had cataracts. So she would go in with this probe that can go in and clear cataracts for many people to restore the sight to many blind people. So she was very an important person, and that is also used in Canadian healthcare facilities to this day as well. Or Patricia White. So that's also another amazing female Black person who helped create for the world that everyone sees till this day. So that brings me the end of all my points. And I was so glad to be able to research and learn about these for the first time myself. And hopefully we can have this implemented in our schools, or just have more discussions like this so that we can teach our fellow youth, we can teach each other on the great people of African descent who were able to not let slavery, not let their color of the skin change or manipulate their future path in life that God had for them. All of these people could have been able to just sit down, let the color of their skin determine what they're going to be, but they worked hard and showed that God gave them a gift and a talent, and they were able to bring that out and share with the world. So that concludes what I have to say, and I'm just so glad, and I hope we can have more discussions like this. And if you have any questions or any more like topics for future, maybe other Black fields, like maybe talking about Black sports, Black fashion, Black cuisine, we can definitely do that, hopefully.
Wow, Nina, thank you so much. That was detailed that some of us were not even aware of. I'm very impressed by your research and, you know, how you articulated everything to us. And keep it up.
Thank you.
Miss Abby, I don't know if you have anything to add.
Well, I was just thinking back and remembering the protest song, "We shall overcome, we shall overcome someday." Deep in my heart,
I do believe we shall
overcome someday.
We should.
Nina, I just want to congratulate you on your research. I mean, your presentation was a great eye-opener. In fact, everybody you mentioned, I've never heard about them.
Same here.
Because for some reason, they focus Black history on Martin Luther King Jr. They want it to look like, oh, it's just one man they had fighting for them. When in fact, in the background, there were all these researchers and inventors. So for you to do your research and come up with a presentation like this, I would like to congratulate you. Good job. Good job, Nina. Good job.
That's nice. Congrats, Nina.
Thank you. Well, I would love to do it again.
Yes.
So much fun. Yeah.
I'm not sure if anyone else have a comment or any additions. The topic of Black History Month, like we said, it should be ongoing everyday discussion. Like, I love the fact that, Nina, you brought this up. School, so I work in the schools, and a lot of school boards are now making changes. So in the past, we didn't see ourselves in the curriculum, we didn't see ourselves in the classroom, but now changes are being made. So recently, TDSB came up with a research was conducted by TDSB, and they are finding that during COVID, a lot of Black people, Black children's, this is elementary school, Black children's reading levels have gone up. So the research is, some of us are making an assumption, thinking maybe this is so because now they are in their own environment, they are at home. Because most of the time during the COVID, we were home, studying from home. So they are finding themselves at home and they are comfortable. The kids are comfortable in their own environment and can read more and can express themselves more. But in the classroom, so this brings up the question of what type of environment are the children learning inside the classrooms? Are they that comfortable in the classroom? Why is the reading level rising outside of the classroom? So the question still exists. The topic of inequalities sometimes is still somewhere hidden in the agendas. But when we do see racism, we will not be quiet. Okay, we will not be quiet. We will let it out. We will voice out. It needs to be dismantled. Racism needs to be brought up out into the open. When a child is struggling, they need to let a parent know. I wish every child will start looking into history like you have done, Nina. You are not a child. I know you're a young adult. Yeah, as you're growing.
Still someone's child.
No, you're not. Yeah, so if we can, do our part, educate our own selves, educate the children at home, and let them voice out if they are experiencing or watching or observing any form of racism, injustices being directed to them. Thank you. I really enjoyed it. I'm adding on. Chloe, is new to me. Chloe Cooley, your first research is new. And then the other one, Portia, is also new to me. Those two. So I've added on to what I knew. And every day we are learning, and I'm hoping that we all continue to learn and bring into the open all these things. Yeah, history will not repeat itself. As we are being enlightened, history will not repeat itself. Yeah, thank you. Miss Maleni, I don't know, any addition? We are at 4:00, almost 10 after 4.
I think we should move to the next point or the next topic.
Okay.
And, with all the enlightenment we got from Nina, we have challenges. We are now thinking, oh, okay, so what's going on? Is that, done? Or we're talking about history. So what is it for us now? So on this one, Miss Abi, you are the one who's giving us some points on the challenges we face as Black people or as people of color or people who support the movement.
Yeah, so the challenges, I think, are different for everyone. We all face them differently. Personally, I have faced some in this country since I've been here, but I don't want to get too much into challenges, but excuse me, but but to I'm sorry, I have Nita, you can continue for me. I know you know what I'm talking about.
Oh. But sorry, what were you gonna say, Auntie?
Yeah, the challenges are different for everyone, right? We all face them differently. But what I want to say is that when we see them, we need to confront it. It has to be confronted. We can't keep quiet and then expect someone or something to make the difference for us. It needs to be confronted. That's my point.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Abi. I have a few points on the challenges that we face. Some of them we have already talked about when we were talking about these historians. The most, the profound challenge we have as people of color is being uninformed about the issues around us. Some of us will grow up in Africa, not here in Canada. So some of the things that we face, we are shocked because we are not informed. We don't know about what's going on. So we have this challenge of not knowing. We haven't studied that kind of history. We haven't been in that situation, so we don't know. And sometimes even in school, that history is not taught. So we don't know. Or some of us, we don't even, get newspaper to read on what is going on. Black Lives Matter. Okay, what's going on? I have no time. I'm just thinking of, okay, how can I make money to survive? Or talking about Black Lives Matter, what is this about? Most of us, we don't get to that point where we want to know what is going on around us and about us. So if we are like that, then it's a big problem because when we are in it, we're facing this, we don't know what to do because we are not informed. And then one thing that worries me a lot is about the division amongst ourselves. I had a friend when I was doing my truck driving. I had a friend who was Black like me. And then one time the instructor said, you African, like you're from Africa, you're African. And then, oh, she was so mad. I'm not African. I'm not from Africa. I've never been to Africa. And it touched me, but I was okay. And then another day, she said she was Irish because her mother was from Ireland. So I said, remember that day you said you are not African because you've never been to Africa. And now you're telling me you're Irish, been to Ireland. No. So what makes you think that you are Irish when you have never been to Ireland?
Was this a Black person?
Yes.
Okay.
She's from Jamaica.
Okay.
Yeah. She's even darker than me.
Mm.
And I saw this, oh, okay, some people don't want to associate with the Black people or African people. So there's division.
Mm.
I had a housemate. We were talking about slavery and how we view ourselves as Africans or as Black people. And my housemate was from Jamaica as well. And she expressed that she, like, you people, you sold us. And then I said, who said that, we sold you? It's in the books, it's written down. And I said, okay, who wrote the history? The same people who brought you here into slavery, they're the same people who wrote the history. So do you think they would tell what really went on? Or they would just say, your people sold you. So I find there is that division, amongst the Black people. Those who are from Africa or who came earlier as slaves may not want to associate with the current immigrants or those from Africa who came recently. So because of that, it's a problem, it's a challenge. We cannot work together because we think, oh, those are different, I'm different. Some people even, they look at their shades of color. We are Black, all of us. The lighter ones think they are better than the dark ones. So we can't associate, we can't work together. That is a very big problem as Black people. And if only we could do away with that, then we won't have any problems, or we will have progress amongst ourselves. And that actually is also expressed as lateral violence, where you do bad things to your own people or you hurt your own people. And it's also because of ignorance, maybe not understanding what's really going on. So we still have things to do or to work on.
Definitely. Definitely, we still have a long way to go, but we have come a long way.
Yes, we have.
Freedom to have our children in the same school as any other child. Yeah, we have come a long way, and we are grateful to the trailblazers and to those who paved the way for us to move here freely. We did not come here bounded. We were not bound with ropes on our hands or legs or feet. We came here on our own accord in a plane, comfortable plane, airplanes. So we are grateful. We, those who call ourselves immigrants, and then those who are first generation, second generation, we are all grateful to be here. But we will continue doing our best as Black people to unite and to call out racism when we see it, and to educate ourselves and to know who paved the way for us to be here today. Any other comments, questions?
Yeah, I just wanted to say that what the earlier presenter said is very true. I have personally encountered it several times. And I was wondering, what can you do in circumstances like that? Because there are not circumstances where you can educate the person, because they usually come out in a situation, you know, maybe the person is angry, there's a discussion, and then they say things like that, oh, you Africans. Because I have a Jamaican at my workplace who would always say that, oh, you Africans. You know, she always, I'm like, why do you have to do that? She will have to make sure she separates us from herself. You, these Africans, you know? So in a situation, and I've tried to, you know, educate her, but I haven't been successful. And I was wondering, in situations like that, what do you do? For example, with the sister that just did the presentation, what did she do in her situation? Because I find that I end up being quiet, because I feel like it's a battle I can't win. I wish we would all be together, you know, all Black people, love each other, you know, work together, support each other. But it's always coming up. So in a situation like that, what would you do?
Miss Melania.
Yeah, I can answer. I have two examples. The first example, I just told her, you know what, you know, you are a Black person, you're a Black woman, you're a Black woman. To think that you have never been to Africa, so you're not African, I don't know how, you know, that way, but we are still friends. We are still friends. And I think that's one way of getting around it, making friends, you know, just forgive for their anger and try to, you know, for them to see reason, maybe just small steps. You are working with them, you know, just small steps, even sharing food, and then you talk. Eventually.
Yeah, the funny thing is we are still friends, you know, we still, same thing, we share the food all the time. And we are still friends, but every now and then it will come up.
Yes, and I'm sure you understand why. You know, some people have gone through traumas, different traumas.
Yes.
And they don't know where to air their grievances, or they, you know, they just take it on whoever they see. So You just have to forgive if you are in the working together. Just few steps, even since you are friends, that's one good step.
Okay.
But you didn't sell. We didn't sell the ancestors who were sold to slavery. So if a Jamaican is saying, you Africans, you sold us, we did not sell, and they were not the slaves. Like, it's like we all we are all in it. So how do you deal with that? I think personally, I'll tell them we were not involved in it. Just like a white person will say that I did not enslave you. Okay, so it sounds like a really totally different topic that needs a deeper, deeper talk or clarifications or research and debate and exposure.
Yes.
Sometimes people just have to stay ignorant until they experience something, because without Africa, those people wouldn't have even existed like that. And at the end of the day, to another race, they will still look at you as a Black person, regardless if you don't think you're from Africa or anything. So sometimes you just have to let people be ignorant and let them learn the harsh way at the end of things, because even if you tell them the whole history, some people will just be so ignorant about it.
Wow.
Even if they want to be ignorant, you educate those you can, inform those you can. Those who do not want to be involved, we just leave them alone until they get to a point where, like you have said, Nina, that some people will be ignorant until they get in trouble or they see things. That's when they may begin to say, oh, okay, this is what it is. And then they will slowly change. But it's an uphill task. Actually, this is actually taking us to our last point on the agenda, our contributions. How can we contribute to our cause? We have already touched on it, and we have to teach and inform others. We have to educate ourselves. We also can make friends with other people, not only Black people, even other people. They also need an education about Black people. And we can join groups, various groups in our communities. And we can also support organizations, support individuals who need help. We support and work in our communities to, for the awareness of our Blackness or our Black people. I don't know, is anyone who has any contributions on that?
No.
If there is no one, shall I close it?
Yes, please.
Yeah, before you go, I just want to applaud Nina. Great discussion.
Yes.
Like I said earlier on, a lot of the people Nina presented, I have never heard of them. So this is a real eye-opener, and I'm glad I tuned in. I'm glad I made the time to tune in. It's a great eye-opener.
Oh, that's nice. See you all.
Hi.
Hi, Tina.
I also would like to thank everybody for having this opportunity for me to learn and educate myself further. There was a lot of stuff I had no idea about either, and it's a shame that these stories aren't as celebrated and talked about as white people and their contributions. They make it seem as if they've built Canada,
Mhm.
whereas a lot of the contributions have come directly from Black people. And it's
Mhm.
really sad. And I just had a few questions myself. I'm also doing, I need some working on a school assignment as well. And if you can help me, if you have a little bit of extra time, anybody that I could also do this, I would really appreciate that. I thought the facts that Nina shared were very interesting. And I'm sorry, I don't know your name. It just says Afro-Canada Hub.
Oh, well, my name is Abby. You can call me Abby. Yes.
And
Yes,
mine is Melania.
you mentioned that the youth, the school, that they've been reading more now that they're at home.
Yes.
And it's because they feel more comfortable. Like, what can we do to motivate and encourage today's youth to continue aspiring for greatness?
What a great question.
Very good question.
Yes.
And I think I was asking that question to myself. What can we do? And so some of us are slowly finding ways to support by offering book clubs and different things that we can do to assist the community. Well, the other thing the research is showing too has to do with the environment. So, and then we have to ask the question, like I said, what type, are the kids comfortable at school? What can we really do? That's a really good question. And I think I should be asking that to myself too, because I also need to know, what can we do to make them read more? What can we take out, subtract, or add to get them to read more? I can forward you the research if you would like to read more.
Yes, I would.
But you know what? Let me put it in the chat. I have it open here on my here somewhere. Here we go. That's a really good question. And
what do you think that?
Yeah.
What do you think is holding them back, that they're not as comfortable in the school environment, in the mixed environment? What is it, do you think?
There's a lot of competition that I find, peer pressure. Peer pressure is working against our students or kids. Peer pressure in the form of, guess what? Social media has come in. Social media has a lot to do with pressure now on kids. Technology, it's a good thing. And then some other times it's not so good. And so like a student will sit in the classroom and then be on their phone and then tell me, miss, so I'll go to them and then say, why are you not doing your work? And then they will give me the excuse that I think I do better when I'm at home, or I will do it when I get home. So what is really in the classroom? Is it tension? Is it anxiety rising in the classroom? Who are they trying to impress in the classroom? So, and then it depends on the age too. It depends on the age of the child. But this research came from a elementary school. And that worries me more, that is from an elementary school and not a high school. The reason why I'm saying that, in the elementary school, the kids are ready to do work. So they are ready to learn. But why are they not doing better in school than to feel more comfortable in their own homes? So that's the question that worries me. Are they not seeing themselves in the teacher or in the things that they are reading? Is it because that now we have more books that are that they can find themselves in, represented in? Maybe that's why. What is happening? We need to ask more questions. That's really, really good. Yeah.
I want to contribute.
Yes,
so in recent times, even the region of Peel has come up with a research that the male Black child is not doing well in school because there aren't enough male teachers, Black male teachers. So I think that was just before COVID. There was this policy that schools had to hire more Black male teachers, especially teaching math. So that's something I picked up. So I think that the kids they don't have role models.
Role model, yes.
They don't have role models in the school environment.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's my take from that.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing.
Yes. If the child is able to relate to you as the teacher more, they do very well. But if they can't relate to you, sometimes it's hard. Anxiety is rising each time they have to approach you to ask you a question. They are worried. How are you going to receive them? And even if they raise their hand, how are the other students in the class going to look at them? So there's a lot of pressure on children now.
Is it all the children, or you specifically the Black child? Are we talking about all the children right here?
For me, I was looking, well, the research is showing Black kids reading level up, but in general, kids are seriously under a lot of trauma, a lot of anxiety is going on now, a lot of worrying. Are they meeting what's going on in social media? Are they up to date? Are they this? Who is listening to them? Before, I'm not sure which gender it was, but now it's just across, boys, girls, whoever. They're all struggling. So I posted the research in the chat if you like to take a look at it. I believe this is 2 different links that I posted. One shows TDSB, data show rapid reading improvement. Okay, so this is one. Let me see if I got the other one too.
Okay.
And I think language also plays a part. Our kids, they have their home language that we use in the home. And sometimes that language is not the same in school. So during COVID, learning from home, having their parents as their teachers, using their own language, the language that they understand, they are familiar with. That has contributed to the rise in the reading levels.
Interesting.
Yeah, these make a lot of sense.
Well, thank you. Thank you. Any other questions, comments?
May I ask one question also to Nina?
Okay, Nina, listen.
Yes.
I'm so sorry to take everybody's time.
No, go ahead.
And I appreciate it. Thank you. Why do you think that it's so important to continue doing this research, to continue sharing these stories with today's youth and adults and everybody?
Oh, wow. For me, I think it's just important because, like I said, when I was that young, I never had any experience or knowledge within Black Canadian history or Black Canadian culture. I think even the first time I ever met someone, all the Black people I knew were either like my family, immigrants, myself, first generation Canadians. And until I was in my 20s, I started realizing there are actually people who were born in Canada and their grandmothers were born in Canada and their grandmothers and their great grandmothers and their grandmothers. And I was like, that's just so weird. And they don't talk like, they don't talk like me. I'm more from the inner city and, I have an immigrant parents, so they don't even speak like me. I would think, because I'm also visually impaired, I would think that I'm speaking to a white person, not knowing that they're actually phenotypically Black. So by doing this research and knowing that there were great historic figures, and then also learning about present day people, I learned that most of, I think it was called Africa town in Nova Scotia. There was a settlement until like, I think the 70s or 80s, they teared it down, where a lot of these, relatives of the slave owners, of the slaves, were living in Nova Scotia, and they had their own like post office and stuff, and their grandparents built the city. I didn't know until I researched it. So I think if we implement more research where kids have more access to the internet and social media, it will help them to be able to connect the dots and connect that it's more than just learning about immigrants. It's more than just the whites. It's also about the African Canadians. And there's also something I learned, that the African Americans, they are very comfortable with themselves. Everybody in America, they'll be like, I'm African American. You know what I mean? But in Canada, they don't even call themselves African Canadians. They just call themselves Black Canadians.
Wow.
They're so far attached from, per se, calling them Africans. They just want to be seen as a Canadian who's Black. And in order to learn about that, it's just doing more research, connecting the dots, going back in history to be able to make it relevant today, if that makes any sense. And kids have the access to these things, because I didn't have a cell phone. I didn't even have an iPhone until I graduated high school and stuff like that. So kids these days, they have access to like different chat groups, or like going on Wikipedia or even some other sites, and being able to like watch videos and stuff. So like, I think it's easier these days for kids to start researching. And that's why we have to keep pushing them. Like, if you are going to be on your phone all the time, if you're going to be on your iPad all the time, you might as well start researching stuff that relates to you, relates to something that you can benefit from, versus watching the latest Caucasian YouTuber doing a eyeshadow on skin that doesn't even match their own.
Wow.
Amen. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I really appreciate everybody taking that little bit of extra time to educate me a little bit and enlighten me a bit further. So thank you all.
I shared the links in the chat. I think
I've got them.
You got them.
I appreciate that as well.
Very good.
Thank you, Ms. Abi, for your for the links. And I think we can close the
I think there's some other people that
and I would like.
Yeah, I think I heard someone else wanted to say something, but I'm not sure.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
I'm not sure.
That's probably me. I don't know.
Yes.
Hi, Nina, thank you very much. You really blown my mind off. Your research was very deep and rich. And, I've been at you. I think, are you the host or the other lady?
I think we are playing host.
Okay. You've all done a great job. This topic shouldn't be limited to only just February, in the month of February, but it should be something that we should be able to carry on daily. And one thing that I think lacking is we don't include our children. They say that charity begins at home. So if we are not able to include our children, we're definitely not going to be here forever. They have to carry the torch from us. Nina has started something that really, I'm so happy, that, she has done this, participating and then presenting it at this public stage. It's not everybody or every child who can do it. So I would encourage each and every one of us to try as much as we can do, like the Chinese, the Indians. 99% of them teach their children how to speak their languages. But I can guarantee you that we, on the other side, 99% of us don't even teach or encourage our children to speak our languages. So how are they going to carry on when we are no more here? So that is something that I want to put, across, that we should do our best to encourage our children to also participate, not only in just only the academic curriculum, but other social events that where the Blacks gathered. is very important too, because they can learn a lot from there too.
Yes.
And I know a topic was raised about the children not doing well in the classroom. I don't know whether that could be attributed to a lack of the Black teachers, enough Black teachers in the classroom. They're probably not relating to them. Maybe they are seeing them as superior to them than, if they were to see their, people of the same color. Maybe not. That's something that I want to put across. It could be one of the reasons why they are not able to read or perform very well, that they prefer to do it at home instead of doing it in the classroom. Probably not the right answer, or maybe not. So anyway, thank you very much. You've all done very well. Nina, I haven't seen you for decades, but today I've seen your face again.
Thank you very much, Simon, for your contribution.
Yeah, it's very good. Thank you.
Thank you. It was Mavis who I didn't know anything like this was going on until Mavis sent me the link and asked me to join. So thank you, Mavis.
No,
I
you
really
are.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Thank you very much. And
Yeah.
I just wanted to say this has been a very fruitful discussion. Thank you, Nina, for your research and your contribution. Thank you, Ms. Abi, for your contribution as well. And I would like to thank our audience as well for their contribution, chipping in and saying their piece. I'm very delighted that, we had a discussion, not only amongst ourselves, members of the AfriCanada Canada Hub, but, even other people who, came into it, which means it was an interesting topic. It was a fruitful discussion. Just to end up, I don't know if Ms. Abi, you have something before I close?
Just to give a shout out to Miss Rachel, the Footstep Show, Alibi, and then there's Prince, and Tina. Brother Simon was on. Thank you all for joining in. Mr. Heaton, and there's ONAB. Thank you for signing in and joining us. Yeah, you're welcome.
And I just want to end up with the 2022 theme for Black History Month, which is February and forever.
That's right.
It's encouraging us to learn about our communities.
I'm happy to be a part of it. Great discussion. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Enjoy. How are you?
Enjoy the rest of your Sunday. Okay, and God bless. God bless everyone.
Take care.
Bye. Bye.
Yes, everyone. Take care. Be good.
Thank you.
Bye.
You too. Thank you. Hi, Ms. Abi. You are muted.
Yes, I am. Thank you so much. Thank you, Miss Melania.
You're welcome.
Thanks to Nina.
Much for your contribution.
Oh, I didn't mention Mavis. Thanks, Mavis, for.
Thanks, Mavis. Oh, that's the MD, Susan.
Susan, yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, ladies.
Okay.
Are you raising up your hand, maybe?
Your hand is up.
I did long time ago to say something, but it's over now.
Oh, no.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Okay.
Mommy didn't see it.
Yeah. Okay, I will end the meet and thank you all. Okay.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Okay.